or climate change. Now it is almost 10 years.
It has not been revised?
2007 it was revised. But I mean, when in concrete terms, nothing has happened so far. The civil society, even the scientists, everybody is under the impression that nothing has happened. Very slow. Even when I tried to locate these reports, it was very difficult. Even the people who were involved in the preparation of the papers, they say, oh, we don't know, we are not following, they don't consult us anymore. So that is the position. So
can you share this copy with us?
yeah,
Or we
please.
download?
Yes. Maybe, I mean, I can give you a copy.
Yeah.
Then,
Also give us the web links.
yes, yes. It was, there were about very important national circumstances, greenhouse gas inventory, impacts and vulnerability, mitigation options and adaptation responses, policies and measures, education, training and awareness, recommended research studies and portfolio projects, constraints and technological needs. What they have found was that the lack of knowledge, especially technological transfer, and lack of funds to carry out the process. Those are the constraints that they have been reported in the report. Then when it comes to Kyoto Protocol, there was some attempt to implementation. Ministry of Environment had taken place, but I would say something that the JEF, funded by UNDP, small grant program, is doing well with about 40 non-governmental organizations throughout the country, promoting a lot of activities. But other than that, as a whole, very low profile. I should say something special about the plantation community in Sri Lanka, as you know, because we had been suffering for about 30 years civil war in Sri Lanka when it comes to north and east. But I am based in plantation area where the South Indian plantation workers had been there for the last 200 years as coolies. And now the youths in our country, or the youths in the plantation, has refused to work under the present management as coolies, like their father and mother. Because they have been educated now, they refuse to work. Very slang language, ada, vada, poda, that kind of language is being used there. And so if you do not plan for next 50 years, in the hill country where 1,300 water streams are flowing, first the people in the plantation do not have drinking water, and the later all the people in the downstream, in the dry zone, will not have water. Number one. Number two is highly polluted because of chemical fertilizer being used, pesticide being used for plantations in Sri Lanka. These issues are not addressed and not planned for next at least 50 to 100 years. So unless you plan it now to preserve water catchment, 1,300 water catchments in the hill country, we have a very bad future. Then on top of that, we were able to support to carry out a research in a very important area where the irrigation takes place, rice plantation. I have handed over the copy to Sarji, where he found 2,000 kidney patients within 6 months period. After 30 years of rigorous using of chemical agriculture, and he has done a research with the Agriculture University and found that the random samples were used, they were eating lotus yam and freshwater fish. Those who had eating freshwater yams and freshwater fish and lotus flower yam found kidney problems. So government cannot support, the health department cannot support. So 2,000 kidney patients. So when you go to other side of the country where 30 years of chemicals have been using for red onions and bee onions and tobacco cultivation, blue babies were born. The nitrate and nitrite level had been increased in the drinking water. So a lot of issues are now prevailing. And on top of that only they promote all these multinational corporations to grab land and go for monoculture and go for mono industries. Irrespective of thinking of this, all these framework convention agreements, so it's a very critical situation. Then very recently they have found that every 6 mothers out of 10 are malnourished. Especially in the plantation, it's about 22% malnourished children in the plantation, because they get a very low salary. The plantation management doesn't increase the salary. Always they complain that we are at a loss, therefore they cannot increase salary. So all these economic, social, environmental issues are binded together. So, that is why very important to for us as the civil society organization to start do more research, conserve the indigenous knowledge in agriculture. How do they were able to manage the climate issues? Because when we had done some research, people cannot relate to global warming and climate change. They believe that, they practice that, that there is some climate variabilities are there, but they cannot relate into in a logical manner into global warming. So limited to their knowledge. But they have been changing their rice varieties for a long period, short period like that. They have been mitigating it. So one thing is that we'll have to mobilize people, educate people, and try to report it or conserve their knowledge. One important thing. And at the same time, we'll have to bring this knowledge into the policy level and try to pressurize our government that the present model will not exist in a sustainable manner. So the especially movement for national agriculture and land reform policy network is highly active in Sri Lanka. They take part in all these international events, which I am a board member. So with these few words, I would stop. If there is any questions, I would like to answer. Thank you.
We come to the questions after
Yes.
all the three presentations.
Thank
Is
you.
that okay?
Yes, thank
Ajay?
you.
Only if you could amplify a bit, if there is any institutional arrangement between civil society and the official delegation to Cancun? And what are the other networks, if you could share with us? For example, in India, those who work on climate change usually get co-opted by the ministry in their projects and official or semi-official delegation. And in the official delegation, people from other opposition parties are also included. So how does your government function vis-a-vis the international negotiation?
Earlier you mentioned now, whoever, it can be a politician, it can be a civil society person, whoever goes outside Sri Lanka and says something is branded as traitor.
Okay.
Publicly branded by the leaders. Even to the opposition leader, he cannot go and say anything outside. When he comes to the airport, there will be a lot of people organized at the airport to oppose it. You have gone outside and you have betrayed your own country, so you are a traitor.
On environment issues?
Any
I
issue.
thought this was only human rights.
Human rights, any issue. Why should you want to go and shout outside the country? That's the issue.
Okay. Thank you. Balramji, your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, BJG and the organizer, for giving this opportunity in this important platform. We all know that what is happening over here. Everywhere crisis. Just before food crisis, fuel crisis, and now in climate crisis. Whatever we talk about the crisis, who are responsible? We have to think over that. Just World Food Summit was held in 2009, and group of G8 was absent beside Italy, because such event happened in Italy, and Italian government head was there. Other remaining were absent. Why they were silent in that important part? We have to think over that. Similarly, food is important thing. Food is different thing. Everyone will need food. Whenever one child come in this good Mother Earth, he or she will cry for what? For one Muslim child doesn't cry for the prayer in prayer room, and one Hindu just take me. You will not say just take me in Vishwanath Baba, and one Christian child is not saying that take me in church. Just his cry would be for food. That's the climate change. The climate change pattern, global warming is instrumenting food in one naturally, and someone is instrumenting our rights, our right to food. Who are they? Who are they? Who are they who are instrumenting our natural rights? We have to think over that, and we have to make plan. We are here from India. Vijay Pratapji is here from India. I am from Nepal, and my friend Pratap is from Sri Lanka. Basically, we are South Asian. We have same problem, same culture, same identity, and same we are facing the same issues. That's why this is the question of not nation, not community. This is the question of humanity, I think. And what is happening over here? What Copenhagen gave us, and what Cancun will provide us, what we can get from Cancun. The picture is clear. The picture is clear because just yesterday we known that total who create the carbon here, the Indian people just create 4% carbon, and 12 Indian persons create equal to one Nepali. Sorry, 12 Nepalese persons equal to one Indian crate. 32 Chinese crates 32 Nepali crate equal to 32. One Nepali equal to 32 Chinese crates the carbon. This is the reality. We are not responsible for that. Look at the look at the developed country. Huh? They create a lot of carbon. They are the responsible for this. Those who create problem, they have to solve. Huh? What compensation will provide us? Huh? Compensation will not for us. We don't want any compensation. But our struggle is for to deduct the carbon, those who are creating the things. This is the reality of the world. If we go on that path, if we pressurize for that, if our movement is focused on that part, basically will be more, stronger. Otherwise, we have to dependent to them. We have to just go to when we all know that Kumbh Mela, like a Kumbh Mela. In Kumbh Mela, everyone goes and everyone do their task and they return. Similarly, in Copenhagen, I think such thing happened. Like it was like a Kumbh Mela, and maybe Cancun be also the Kumbh Mela. We have to be aware of that, and we have to focus in our own work plan. I think this will be it will guide. If with homework we go there with homework, with basic slogan, with basic demands, with basic action plan that will provide us, and it would be fruitful to us. Anyway, the climate crisis, we have to come in that part. Just Vijay Pratapji is very familiar to South Asia, not only in India, but he is very familiar with Pakistan, he is familiar with Bangladesh, and he is too much familiar with Nepal, and Nepal's political sector also is very well-known personality. I appreciate him, and he also he said that in Nepal that we can create consciousness. We have no any problem to create consensus. Even Prachanda, who was in armed struggle, who was in jungle for 10 years, he agreed that he don't want to be terrorist. It was his compulsion for the he fought for for shelter, he fought for food, he fought for we call it nani, we call it chana, khana or mana. Chana for group, for housing he fought for food, and he fought for clothes. Nana, chana, nana. It is familiar to Indian words also. That's why he did mistake. There is no doubt. He did mistake, and he realized now we have to come in peace process. We have to come with consensus. We have to come with. That's why the situation of Nepal is, not so bad now. Even there are deadlock. Even there are some problems for the further process. But we can be in one issue. Just our friend Prabhat told what he told. He told that if we go and shout for our right, they blame something. But there is no problem in Nepal. Nepal, we can come everywhere and raise our issue. No one will blame us because we have our verdict, we have our vision, we have our one program and plans. We have common plans in regarding right to food and climate change. We have our one networks. Even Maoists are there. Even the friends from Nepali Congress are there. But there are little bit some problems. When Maoists come, there is little bit hesitation for Nepali Congress friends to be in the same forum. But we are trying to take them both in one platform and discuss. We are little bit success in that part also. Now I want to concentrate my things to in climate crisis. We have come to realize the modern ways of man has placed the enormous stress on the earth that nature simplified did not able to handle. As a result, the emission of greenhouse gases contributing the global warming, it is already resulted melting of snow-capped mountain, raised sea level, depletion of ozone layer, losses of different species. There is serious impact on livelihood of the people. The earth around temperature has increased, disturbing natural system of globe. Some other phenomenon has become more frequent and intensive, while other become less frequent and intensive. This unprecedented climate has serious impact on the people depending the nature and natural climate for their survival. Change is serious risk to poverty reduction and threaten to development efforts, directly affecting food sovereignty, livelihood implied. South Asia is as a climate affected region. The adverse effects of climate change are already evident. Natural disaster more frequent and more devastating, and developing countries more vulnerable. This is the person of sustainable development. While climate change is a global phenomenon, negative impacts are more severely felt by poor people and poor countries. They are more vulnerable because their high dependence on natural resources and their limited capacity to cope with climate and variabilities and extremes. Despite of various efforts, poverty has become more widespread in many countries of the world, and especially in South Asia, one of the regions which is most suffered from climate change hazards in the world. Also, South Asia, not only due to the home of 1.5 billion, is also the home of millions of poor depending of nature, natural resources and agriculture, but also due to the geographical fragility, it is more prone to less cap melting, sea level rise, loss of climate diversity, traditional varieties and plant and animals, and high impacts of rain-fed agriculture. Due to the fragile mountain ecosystem with geographical conditions, poor economic efficiency and diverse nature of climate, risks are higher in agriculture and other components that consolidate the livelihood of rural population. Climate change and its impending hazards at the present scenario of environmental crisis has appeared as the most catastrophic depending of the natural climate cycle as their underdeveloped state falls to meet and obligations. Farming is one of the most sensitive fields in response to weather conditions of wind, rainfall, hailstone, snowfall, drought, temperature, etc. So the farmers and peasants of underdeveloped countries are the high risks and suffering from the as impact and ramped up. Impacts of climate change in Nepal: snow melting and glacier outburst, losses of climate diversity, losses of biodiversity, effects in agriculture, health and economic effects, socio-cultural and political effects. Some evidence of impact. Nepal is rich in climatic diversity, but as farmers have started to grow subtropical and temperature varieties, the south means low belt are going to lose diversity. Accelerated snow and glacier melt has increased the risk. Lake Imja Taso, a glacier lake, did not exist in 1960. Today it covers nearly 1 square kilometer. The Imja glacier that feeds the lake has retreated 75 meters between 2001 and 2006. Nepal already observed flooding disaster in 1995 in Bhotekoshi and Dudkoshi river flooding. Songrolpa glacier lake in Dolkha district, it is mid part of Nepal, threatening the life of the million peoples that downstream both in Nepal and India. Snow melting and glacier upstream trends. The impact of the global retreat will be felt far beyond Nepal's borders, with the annual glacier melt from the Himalayas accounting as much as 70% of the snow of the summer flow the Gangas and 50 to 60% of the flow in the Asia's great rivers. This could become seasonal and Himalayan glacier disappear, and this could happen within the span of 30 years. The impact of the revenue communities would be categorical and would affect up to 1.3 billion people in Asia, including 500 million people in South Asia alone. The predicted impacts of the climate change will heighten existing vulnerabilities, inequalities, and exposure to hazards, poor and marginal communities in this region, and tend to those most vulnerable to climate change and least able to cope with weather-related disaster because of lack of access of information and resources to reduce the risks. Hindu-Kush Himalayas countries. 10% of the global Hindu-Kush Himalayas means it comes from maybe Myanmar to Afghanistan. 10% of the global total angiosperms and insects, 13% of the global total birds, 4% global biodiversity hotspots, 6 UNESCO heritage sites, 60 ecoregion sites, 30 Ramsar sites, 488 protected area, 330 important bird area, 53 important plant areas for medical plants. What can happen? As glaciers melt, river runoff will initially increase in the winter of spring, but eventually will decrease as a result of loss for ice resource. This will be likely unfavorable for downstream agriculture. This could seriously affect more than 500 million people in the Hindu-Kush Himalayas region and 250 million people in China who depend on glacier melt for their water supply. Projection. The current trends of the glacier melt suggest the Ganga, Indus, Brahmaputra, and other rivers across the northern Indian plain could likely become seasonal rivers in the near future. Between 20 to 40, a reduction of runoff per capita of endoplume provenance in China likely to by the end of 21st century. And we have done a lot of research regarding that in the Nepal case. Anyway, the climate change, the global warming would hamper basically poor people, marginalized people, farmers, and we have to think what we have to do, what we have to go for the further process. The next process, I think this is the unity between the people, between the poor, between the vulnerable, between the between the people of the region. And that's why I already told that the Copenhagen is already collapsed, and maybe we should be beware of Cancun also. And I think that the recommendation, of our further action plan will come from this important conference. That's why I don't want to go any recommendation, because we all are the victimized, we all are the
since you have prepared,
yeah.
you share.
Yeah, I will share in that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Therefore,
give it to us.
Therefore, I want to propose in this important house, in this important forum, we have some recommendation in that part also. And anyway, we have to go to form another world, because we believe that another world is possible with our within our contribution. No one will make our house. We have to build ourselves for this. Thank you very much.
On this happy note and a kind of pledge that will make this world better through our struggles, we disperse for tea and resume to listen to the presentation by Negiji, and then discussions will follow. Thank you very much for the comprehensive presentation. Hopefully you will share the copy with us.
It's already there in the folder.
It's with us. Okay. This folder, today's folder. Oh, very good. Thank you. I didn't look at it.